Today we're going to be learning about napping on Shabbos. What does the Torah say about napping on Shabbos? So the Torah discusses this, and the Rama quotes this Torah in Siman Reishadi over here. And the language of the Rama is v'imrogil b'shana saharayim al yivatlenu ki oinegulo. If a person is regular to sleep in the afternoon, he should not cancel that. He should not nullify that because it's a pleasure to him. It's implied from this Rama that this is specifically referring to someone who regularly naps. Then he should nap. This is from the Torah. That's the source as is properly quoted over here in the parentheses. Where does this come from? What's the idea of napping? Mishnah Berura cites the Eliya Raba, which we learned in the past. Ali vatlenu and gimel mikol makom lo yarba bo yoyser midai shelo yavyenu lidei bital Torah. Nevertheless, don't sleep too much, because that could lead to not learning Torah, bital Torah, nullifying Torah, canceling Torah. She'afilu talmidei chachamim shelo imdin kol hashvua shemitzvah sheyasangu biyoyseru kidlakaymei behaga. That even the talmidei chachamim, the Torah scholars, that are spending their entire week learning, there's a mitzvah that they should be involved in the physicalities of the day of Shabbos and eating and drinking more than they're used to during the week, as the Rama points out. But even for the Talmid Chacham, who we say should learn a little less on Shabbos than he's used to, as opposed to just regular workers who spend the majority of their week working, should be learning more Torah on Shabbos. Even for the scholars, the explanation is not that they should waste the entire day eating and drinking. What this means is that they should be more involved with physical pursuits such as eating and drinking and sleeping more than the average person. However, we see from over here this idea that even the Talmid Chacham who learns less has to be careful not to sleep too much, that he's going to waste his entire time. Then the Mishnah Berura proceeds to quote the Sefer, the Sefarim, Chasva Sefarim b'Shem HaZohar, who quote the Zohar, Shemitzvah al kol adam lachadesh hakedusha Torah b'Shabbos. There's a mitzvah that is placed upon every single individual to come up with the Torah insight on Shabbos, with a chiddush. Someone who isn't able to come up with this chiddush, someone who doesn't have the intellectual abilities and strengths to come up with the Torah insight, learn something that you didn't learn until this point, learn something new, which we have to discuss more about what to learn on Shabbos. We still didn't cover that. But this idea is you learn something new. Ki oneg, next Mishnah Berura Dalet, of halo yormar neilach v'nishon kedei shenuchal asois melachteinu b'moitzei Shabbos shemar b'zeh shenoch v'yoshon b'shvil yemoisachol. But a person shouldn't say that we're going to go to sleep, we're going to go to sleep in order that we could be involved with working on Motzei Shabbos. Don't say that you're napping so that you could have strength for after Shabbos, because you're showing that you napped over there and you slept because of the weekday which we'll be preparing. That would not be good. The Piskay Teshuvos over here delves into this idea of napping more. And he says, he quotes the Eliya Raba that we just saw in the Mishnah Berura, even though that the Arizal would sleep 2 or 3 hours, we cannot compare ourselves to the Arizal, because what the Arizal was able to achieve when he slept is something that we can't even comprehend. In the footnote over here, it's related by quoting the Seder Hayom. The Seder Hayom says, Im chatafto yisheino yishon ksasav alo yarbe. If sleep grabbed you, if it overcame you and you had to fall asleep because you were so tired, that's when you should sleep. But don't sleep too much. In other words, if you're so tired that you're falling asleep in your chair, take a quick nap in your chair, but not to get in your bed planning to sleep 3 hours in the afternoon, going under the sheets, going under the blankets rather. Don't do that. The Arizal.
Wait, is that do when we're talking about sleep, should we is there an Indian to like sleep in your clothing or should you sleep you shouldn't take your tzitzis off, right?
Yeah, probably not. Better not do. It's another discussion. Hilchos Tzitzis about making a new bracha. But it says over here in the next footnote that the Arizal once told one of his Talmidim, he told Rabbi Avram Alevi, his student, that after he slept in the afternoon, he said, you should know, if I would be learning Torah and I would be giving shiurim for 80 years straight without interruption, 24 hours a day, I wouldn't even be able to achieve the level that I achieved from one nap. Explanation is when that Arizal napped, we know that sleeping, the Gemara in Brachos on Nun Zayin teaches us, is 1/60th of death. And we know that a dream is, if I'm not mistaken, 1/60th of a prophecy. And the Arizal was able to achieve very high dreams and very high levels. I have to say his explanation, but again, you have to look this up, what he's quoting over here. Yeah. So, but that's the Arizal, but us, we're not at such a level. Furthermore, he points out that it's already discussed, we learned this in the past in Siman Reish Nun, if I'm not mistaken. We find Rishonim and Sefarim and Musar, they already discuss, be careful not to overeat. Not to overeat, because if you overeat, then you're going to get very tired, and you're going to belittle the honor of Shabbos. Because the mitzvah for everyone to utilize his time to learn Torah and to be involved with spiritual pursuits. And therefore, a person needs to be careful not to overeat. Footnote over here, he's coming from major sources over here. The Derashos Rabbanu Yona, the Shela, the Reshis Chachma, Seder Hayom. He says, look, earlier we discussed in siman Reishim and Beis, we learned over there about this, how disgusting it is, those people who just save up. They don't sleep a lot before Shabbos and the days before Shabbos, saying, I'll catch up on sleep over Shabbos, and they just sleep through Shabbos. Oh, how terrible is that? So therefore, what does the Torah say about sleep? Not too much. We have to see. Harfiner says a tshuva on this. Discusses this concept of sleeping. He has some length about this. To learn it together. Discusses is there a mitzvah to sleep, specifically in the afternoon. Says only if you're regular with that. But if you don't regularly take an afternoon nap, you shouldn't have a lengthy nap.
We explain it for regular as every Shabbos, every day.
Every day.
That's
what regular means.
Okay.
He says you shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, but afternoon people don't normally eat a big meal during the week.
That's correct.
And the big meal does weigh down.
That's correct. That's why he says make sure that you don't have too much, like we also saw in the Piskay Teshuvos.
Yeah, don't too much, but you're eating more than you normally do.
You are, but you have to
a heavy meal.
You have to make sure that you're not eating 120%. You're eating more than you usually do. You could eat 80%. And in fact, it will be good for a person to harness his desires, his taivas achila. Something to talk about. Okay. So therefore, it comes out, this reminds me actually of what the Ali Shor writes in Siman Shin Nun, if I'm not mistaken, in Chelik Beis. You know, preparing for davening for Shachris really starts the night before. Why? Because a person has to make sure that he gets to shul not just on time, 1 minute early. Think about what we are praying about, who we are praying to, what we're doing. Think about what we need to do in this world. How do we do that? We get there on time. How do we get him in earlier, which will change our entire davening that we do, the entire way that we talk to Hashem in the morning? The answer is, if we get there early. How do we get there early? You have to wake up early. How do you wake up early? You go to sleep early enough. Comes out that the preparations already start the night before. Same thing over here. It's all in the prep. The person wants to learn good on Shabbos, it has to be what's called premeditated. Block out a good time. Make sure you're rested, not half asleep, because that's not going to be good learning. And then you're good. That's what he says over here. We already learned that the Shulchan Aruch says that after you have your sudah, koivin midrash. That's when the Shulchan Aruch said that's when you learn Torah. After you eat, immediately. Right? Now, it could be that they davened earlier, but still, we could do that also nowadays. Right? Goes without saying, this applies to people who are spending the majority of their week working. Even for a Talmid Chacham, though, who's spending his week, who's involved with Torah throughout the whole week, which we say could be involved more with the physicalities of the day, not mention sleeping in the afternoon. You'll say, look, there's a mitzvah of sleeping. Let's be honest. Shabbos stands for Shena b'Shabbos Tanug. Sleeping on Shabbos isn't oneg, it's a pleasure. But you know what else Shabbos stands for? Shena bital Torah. Sleeping is a waste of time. It nullifies the Torah. So it depends how you sleep. The mitzvah of sleeping on Shabbos, you know how you go fulfill that? You're going to wake up a little bit later. Or maybe you go to sleep a little bit earlier on Shabbos. Like the Bach already discusses in another place. Right? What's the reason? We have to learn this, siman. Reish Pal. You think it's a coincidence that most shuls start later on Shabbos? No. It's so that you sleep a little bit later, that little bit of extra sleep. That will be your pleasure of sleeping on Shabbos. But who says you have to triple dip? Going to sleep early, waking up later, sleeping in the afternoon. Over here is the place that we should remind ourselves, and where'd the calculator go? Oh no, what happened? Here, they did a software update, now everything gets messed up. Over here, we should remind ourselves, the Vilna Gaon holds that every single word of Torah is a positive mitzvah from the Torah. Chafetz Chaim calculated a person could learn around 200 words in a minute. Times 60 minutes an hour. That's 12,000 positive mitzvahs. Multiply that by the Ben Ish Chai, who says that the learning on Torah is 1,000 times better than the learning during the week. We're talking 12 million mitzvahs if you sit down and learn 60 minutes uninterrupted on Shabbos. 12 million mitzvahs with tremendous siyata d'shmaya, divine assistance.
Better, or the learning is
counts 1,000 times more and is 1,000 times better. Okay? Think about that. 12 million. Talk about an ROI, return on investment. Therefore, this is the time to step up to the plate. Take advantage of this limited time offer. It's like an amazing sale, 99.8% off. You can't get much better than that. Now is the time to learn. The Maharil also says that on Shabbos, they wouldn't get up as early to bring the korban, the tamid, shel shachar. That was the korban that they would bring every single morning in the Beis HaMikdash to sacrifice. Why? In order not to nullify people's sleep. Also, the Lavush seems to say this. This is all in siman Reish Pei Aleph. That's why these sources are unfamiliar to us because we didn't learn that siman yet. So you see from all of these sources over here, the idea of waking up later on Shabbos. So therefore, you could wake up later. Don't get up as early. That's how you could fulfill this. All right? But not that you, as Rav Harfina specifies over here, not that you need to sleep another time during the day and the afternoon. This is in Siman Taf Chavav in the Shalos Teshuvos Nishma Shabbos.
Torah specifically said in the afternoon, no?
No, the Torah said imerogil bekach. If you're regular to do, which by the way, he goes into what regular is every single day. I'm talking about just Shabbos. Every single day, you're a napper. Right? So therefore, you could easily fulfill sleeping more on Shabbos by number one, going to sleep earlier. Number two, by waking up later. Okay, and he quotes this idea of not overeating, like we already saw about. And that's what he quotes in this part. How important it is not to overeat, get you tired properly, so that you can learn Torah. Seder Hayom also, he quotes over here, which you already saw in the footnote of the Piskay Teshuvos. He says this. He quotes from the Chesed Avafim. He says that on Shabbos during the day, a person should press himself, make sure that he won't sleep, if he's able to. So it's it's a special time. Just utilizing a moment in this world is better than the whole next world, which you can't do. Can't learn Torah, do mitzvahs in the next world. So therefore, person has to be careful with this. However, so that was all one side of the coin, and one extreme. But on the other side of the coin, you have the Sefer Minog Tov, says that it's a good custom after having your Shabbos sudah, after that meal in the morning, you take a nap. Also, the Prima Godim says this. Someone makes a neder. He says, I promise I'm making a vow. I am not going to sleep on Shabbos day. He could annul that vow even on Shabbos, because part of Oneg Shabbos. Right? Oneg Shabbos also brought other Sefarim that he quotes over here. Oh, here he quotes over here that the Bnei Yissaschar says that Shabbos stands for Shena b'Shabbos Tanog. Sleeping on Shabbos is a pleasure, like we said. It also stands for Shena bital Torah, like we pointed out.
Does anybody bring that down? Is that the Rav's?
No, this is the Shabbos bital Torah. It must be brought down somewhere. I heard from somewhere. The Yalkut Reuveni, parshas V'Schanan, says the Neshama Yeseda, maybe because of the extra soul that we have, there's an idea of sleeping more. Pinchas, one of my chavrusas really likes the sefer. He also goes into it as well. When you sleep, that will cause you to feel the pleasures of Shabbos, and you'll begin to have desires for the holiness of Shabbos, whatever that means exactly. So then the Arizal, of course, did that. But this, as we said, was only for great people. They say, if you're going to go like the Arizal, sleep 2-3 hours, you should do everything else like the Arizal also, instead of just picking and choosing. But this is the idea over here. Regular people, this doesn't apply to them with these long naps that we said. Okay, he quotes this idea that we saw in the footnote of the Piskay Teshuvos over here. Then he says, however, the Sefer Noye Kitzoin Yosef says that Shena is not necessarily, it's Melashon Shoina, Mishnah, learn. Okay, interesting approach. There's an interesting alshach. It says, Kol ma'aneg es Shabbos. It doesn't say anyone who it says anyone who delights Shabbos, not you delight yourself. It's showing that you shouldn't just be eating and drinking all Shabbos.
What does that acronym mean?
It has to, which one?
Lamed Kuf Aleph.
V'lo Kama. So the idea over here is that, we have an Neshama Yeseda on Shabbos. Neshama Yeseda, when that extra soul is going to go up to heaven at the end of Shabbos, it's not going to boast about how much it slept and ate and drank on some Torah. Not just to be ma'anig the guf. So this is the point with the sleeping. Serious thing to think about. People don't realize really Shabbos is a special time, as we see from this siman, to learn more Torah. Just it got forgotten because of people's evil inclination. Yetzer hara, they just want to play games all Shabbos. They want to just talk to each other all Shabbos, sleep all Shabbos, eat all Shabbos. It's a waste. It's a wasted Shabbos. Therefore, he says a person shouldn't waste time on Shabbos afternoon. That's what he says. Don't sleep too much.
Not to sleep at all, though.
He's saying, "Aim the harbos b'sheina," not too much.
Not too much.
If you need to, you need to. If you need to. Person should try to calculate that you won't need to come to this. Yeah. Says over here that the Satmar Rebbe, when he would take a nap on Shabbos, he would not do it on a bed. Chair. Many great people, great rabbis, weren't careful with this. They did sleep on a bed. Some people, they would just sleep a little 10-minute nap, whatever. but it's unnecessary, as we said.
Mitzvah Gemura. I don't
Yeah.
know mitzvah, it's a mitzvah, but it's a kasas mitzvah.
I'm surprised it puts that in parentheses because is it even a mitzvah at all if you don't regularly nap? Yeah. So this is the story with the sleeping on Shabbos. Also, Vehadar Mishna Berura doesn't add anything over here. Just I think I sent you guys an email yesterday. It was very brief. Did you get a chance to read it? Okay.
Yeah.
You read it?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll just get a basic review on that email that I sent you. It's about the 100 brachos because we spent a lot of time on it yesterday, more than I wanted to, but it was okay. The basic idea is, in short, on Shabbos, you need around 10 brachos. Outside, if you're an Orthodox Jew, you're keeping halacha, you're davening, you're having your meals on Shabbos, etc. You only need 10 more brachos. Okay?
Kippur?
Learning Hilchot Shabbos now. And
Okay,
Yom Kippur, we'll learn
okay.
Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur, you have bigger issues there. So,
Let's go to David's question about how often can you make the rayach?
yeah, it's Hilchos Birchas Harayach. Can only do one siman at a time here. And we do it pretty thoroughly as is. To go even more thoroughly, you'll just tangent and you'll end up learning 50 simanim when you do one. Because everything ties into each other, as we say. Which is good because we keep doing more and more, and we have better and better understandings of the material, the new material that we're doing. 36 brachos are missing from 3 Shemona Esrei. How do we get that calculation? 57 brachos and 3 Shemona Esrei on a daily basis. The ones on Shabbos are 7 each. 7 times 3 is 21. 21 taken away from 57 is 36. Okay, so we have 36 brachos that are missing. Furthermore, we have 2 brachos from tefillin, 1 bracha from urinating who are missing. So therefore, we have 39 brachos that are missing on Shabbos. Right?
Okay.
However, we have additional brachos on Shabbos. It's just kiddush, which ends up being 3. 2 at night, 1 during the day. 7 brachos of musaf, and we have 18 brachos from the meals. Because you say, al netilas yadayim, you wash 3 times. Plus, you bench 3 times. Benching has 4 brachos. 4 times 3 is 12, plus the 6 from washing and hamotzi. So therefore, if you take those 18 brachos and add it to what we said before, you have 28 brachos. Remember, what we said before is the 7 from musaf and the kiddush, 3 from kiddush. So you have 28 more brachos, therefore you're missing 11 brachos from what you typically have on a daily basis. On a daily basis, you are in the 90s, well in the 90s. So this is before you even go to the bathroom, and this is before you even
Extra brachos, I guess. Like
yeah.
a kiddush or
Yeah. So basically, if you do the grand total, you you have just to do a grand total very briefly of all the brachos that we have. Get the calculator out one last time. You have from the beginning of the day, Birchsa Shachar, Birchsa Torah, Baruch Shemar, Yishtabach, the brachos of Kriyat Shema at night and during the day. You're at 30 right there, round. Plus 3 Shemona Esrei, 7 each, plus Musaf, plus 28. Plus you have the Kiddush, plus 3, plus Hamapil at night, plus 1, plus then you have the, we said by the sudah is 18. So you're already 80 something. You're already 80 something. All right. So you're in the 80s approximately. So you have to you go to the bathroom around 5 times the average person goes, and then you eat other fruits, other food items throughout the day. It's basically the chazar for message. Any questions on anything that we did today?
Technically, I guess, if you don't normally drink wine, I guess you should, well, the wine would pop you up in your shahakal, so that cancels each other out.
Say
I'm just thinking
bracha,
like by kiddush.
say bracha and shalosh shudus on yain. That's a good idea. Okay.
What about if you go to a kiddush? You don't want to. You want to be. Yotzi with the a bracha that's like we said the barabim. You don't want to make kiddush on
You
your
go to
own.
Kiddush, you'll be yotze with the bracha the Makadesh said, because or else how else could you
Yeah,
eat? It
I
count
know.
as your
I'm
bracha.
saying, but let's say you want to have a shtick of wine too. So can you have you have mazonos, you have say a piece of kugel, and then you want to make Bray Guffin afterwards. Is there anything wrong with it?
It's better to just drink right after he says it without interrupting.
But meaning you really shouldn't make a Bray Guffin if on your own with a kiddush.
You could if you're not being yotze with the person making Kiddush.
So is that your?
No, but if you are being
also, I mean, you're hagafen also, because you're being
It
with this
would count as your hagafen. We learned yesterday that a person preferably should do it himself in that situation. Though, what are you going to do? There's only one person who's going to make Kiddush.
Right.
And then you should drink the yain right after if you know that you're going to have the wine or grape juice.
All right.
So
if you're not making
It
your
would
own,
definitely exempt the shackle if any drink,
Right.
if you drank revius. If it's less than that, we'll have to learn that topic in Hilchos Brachos. It's not simple at all.
but if you're making your own, if you're not making your own kiddush, you really shouldn't make the bracha.
If what?
If you're not
What, on a
making
beverage?
No, if you're not making your own kiddush, yeah, I mean, you make a shahakol on either herring or kugel or whatever you
Yeah,
make.
for sure.
But making a Bray Guffin isn't so simple if you're being if you're not making your own kiddush. If you're being yotzi
If you're
with
being yotze with someone, you should try to drink right after, as I said already.
right, okay, fine.
Okay.